Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all different age, races, genders, ethnicities, welcome back to Chiesty Boys Podcast, Episode 2. My name is Jacob McKendry. To my right, I have my co-host, Mr. Lewandowski.
Pleasure.
Big Lou, how we doing today?
Hey, not too bad, not too bad. Coming off a great Sunday. Can't complain. And then we got David here. David, how we doing tonight?
Hey, man. Nothing wrong with a good, nothing bad about a weekend filled with football.
Whoa.
Hold on. This needs to be discussed
alert.
During the
Flag
introduction.
alert.
We're going to talk about this, guys. We're going to talk about this. And he knows that I was going to talk about this. Every year, we plan this fantasy football draft out months in advance. And it is something that me and the boys and our friend group really looks forward to every year. You want to know who wasn't there this year? The guy who I just threw the flag at right there. David, I'm going to give you one chance to speak your piece about this, but I just want to let you know that I was really disappointed that you were not there and present with 8 of our other league members in your second year in the league. Is there a reason why you were not there?
Listen, I'm going to be very honest with you. It was strategic.
Strategic.
Okay? I got news for you. You guys like to play mind games, okay? When we all get together, I know how it was last year. You like to look at people from across the room. People like to sit in other rooms, try and make people second guess their decisions. I made the decision to stay at home. All right, focus, concentrate, meditate, and guess what? I put together a winning team, and we're going to come out on top. So that's why I wasn't there this year. Maybe I'll make a return next year, but it was strategic. I'm trying to win coin this year.
And listen, as your commissioners, we don't approve.
Definitely don't.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't approve. If I would have played you this week, you'd be done. So
Yeah, I mean, luck of the draw, brother. Hey, how's your game going, by the way? Fantasy football.
hey, down to the wire tonight. George Kittle, McCaffrey's out. Kittle's going to have a great game, so I'm ready for
We're
it.
going to see a lot of close games in our league for sure, but let's get this going on the road. I mean, let's start quick and early. Let's bring it up because everyone's been talking about it. Chicago Bears winning yesterday, a score of 27-14 on the back. I shouldn't say I'm on the back of Caleb Williams. It's on the back of our defensive special teams. Caleb ended up going 14-29 for 93 yards. Lou, I guess your first impressions on the game, what you thought looked good, what you thought looked bad, and I don't know, just overall consensus of what you think.
Well, this team, it reminds me a lot of the 2017 team. Just heavy on the back of our defense. The defense played out of their minds. Honestly, I thought they were going to play great. They played better than expected by far. A couple concerns. Caleb, I don't know if it's just harder to get the reads because of the first game jitters. Just not getting the reads in time, forcing a lot of passes. He'll get better over time, I believe. And then offensive line struggles continue. Hopefully we can find an answer. We haven't found an answer in 5 or 6 years.
It's tough, dude.
But not giving Caleb enough time to throw the ball, that's 100%. But like I said, the defense really won us that game. David, what do you think?
Overall, man, I do agree with you that Caleb does need to kind of work on his timing, get that synchronization going in the offense. My biggest thing on the offensive side of the ball is some of the play calling also was very questionable.
I agree.
I wish when we're running the ball, why are we pitching it to the outside every time? Let's punish the defense. Let's wear these guys down and run the ball. We have 3 very capable running backs, and we barely saw any of them get utilized. Only 10 carries for Swift. That's a little crazy to me. I mean, so I think we definitely need to work on establishing that run game again. It's Bears football. You know what I mean? It's 100%. Bears football. So I think once we get that run game going, that's going to open up that play action. That's going to open up those opportunities for Caleb and make him a little bit more comfortable. But then again, that all stems from that O-line. So
yeah, I mean, like you said, the Swift was our leading rusher, 10 carries, 30 yards, average of 3 yards a carry. The next person after him was Caleb, 5 rushes for 15 yards, and then it went a mix between Velas, Moore, Homer, and Herbert. So, yeah, I guess to kind of piggyback off of what you guys were saying, offensive line looks very, very questionable, and it's kind of upsetting considering that Poles used to be a former offensive lineman himself along with Cunningham, so you would think that they'd be able to specialize in scouting for that specific position, but it looks like it could be the worst position group on the team. Shelton looked horrible at center. I noticed they brought Bates in a few times. Jenkins looked kind of shaky. Really, I feel like the only stable rock on that offensive line is Darnell Wright.
Dog.
I mean, he looks solid. I don't think he gave up any pass rushes, if barely any at all. I know he didn't let up a sack, but there were a few plays in there that I saw were completely questionable. I don't know if you guys saw. There was a play where Coleman Shelton was playing center and he stood up straight and the linebacker just ran right through his ass, dude. And apparently that was going on all day. Obviously didn't get a chance to pay attention too much for the offensive line tape, but as for Caleb, hey, I think a lot of the rookie troubles came out yesterday with not just him. I mean, Bo Nix had kind of a decent game, but there's nothing over the top. I think the best one out of all the rookies yesterday was Jaden Daniels, but I mean, like I said, he really was able to work with his legs and get however many carries he did, but that's not going to be sustainable, I think. But I do think Caleb, for what we expected out of a rookie, his first game, it is what it is. There's a lot that he can learn from. He missed Keenan Allen on a wide open seam route on the left hand side of the sideline, which should have been a touchdown. But at the same time, he made some pretty good plays too. The little left out that he ran to Keenan when they were on like the 5-yard line that should have been caught, that was dropped. He didn't turn the ball over, which I mean is definitely a good positive to look at in a sense of rookie quarterbacks. You can become flustered and make those dumb throws like Will Levis made at the end of that game yesterday. So I do think that there's some positivity that you could look out of it. And I mean, hey, they ended up getting the win. Like you said, it's Bears football. Sometimes it gets ugly. It might not be pretty most of the time, but I do want to see a change of the tide. I want to see our offense be able to win games instead of our defense, because our defense has been doing this for quite some time now, and I ultimately Caleb is going to improve. He has 3 really good targets at receiver, which I'm going to start talking about one after this because there's a lot going on with him. But, I mean, he didn't look too flustered. He was able to handle the criticism well after the game, and he owed to his defense. So
now let's talk about that word you just said right there real quick, the defense. Because if we're walking away with anything from this game, our defense looks lights out.
Absolutely.
I want to give especially a shout out on the defensive end to Darrell Taylor for a 6th round pick, giving up for Darrell Taylor from the Seahawks. He went off, man. 8 total tackles, 7 solo, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. He was out there lighting it up. And this is a team where going into it, people were like, oh, the D line is the worst position. Like, are we going to be able to generate pressure on the quarterback? We were doing that yesterday, man. Will Levis was making bad throws. We were initially at the beginning of the game stopping the run. I mean, Tony Pollard had a couple, decent runs throughout the game, which is to be expected. But overall, man, I'm loving the way the D line looks. Linebackers are playing great, especially TJ Edwards. And Lou, how about that secondary, man? How you feeling about that?
Oh, the secondary looks fantastic. Not only the secondary in our starting defense, but the secondary on our special teams unit. Jonathan Owens coming in clutch with a scoop and score block kick. You can't exercise those plays. You can't practice those plays. Those plays take heart, determination, and true athleticism. And our defense showed up to play. Just going back on what Jake said with the offensive line, I'm looking at the stats here: 2 for 13 on 3rd down, averaging 2.8 yards a play. That's not going to get it done with a rookie quarterback like Caleb, who's going to need a little bit of leeway coming into this league. You're going to have to give him more time to get to the second or third read. They didn't do that on Sunday. We still come out with a win, but
now special teams. Before we talk about Rome here, real quick, I genuinely want to know how you guys feel about this. So this is a player that's been like kind of polarizing since Hard Knocks, showing some strikes of greatness, strikes of potential, but then it seems like he absolutely threw it all away with that drop kick return. Velus Jones dropping again, and looking at this score, he doesn't drop that, we win this game by even more potentially.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like,
100%.
How do you feel about Velus? Like, do you feel like he has any potential left? Do you feel like we just kind of need to be done with this guy? What do you think, Jacob?
I think they're kind of forcing to get the ball in his hands because Poles is because I think he was the first offensive player that Poles officially drafted when he became general manager. So I think Poles feels like some special need to find a way to get the guy his ball in space, get the ball in his hands. I don't mind it, But he better not be catching the ball, and he better not be catching kick returns or punt returns anymore, because that's too much of a liability. Especially with what he fucking did yesterday. He literally hit off his leg and he punted it like 20 feet forward, 20 yards forward, I should say, right into the guy's hands. Now, obviously, the bounce was super crazy. You can't really predict that's going to happen. But, dude, like, people have been on this guy's ass for the purpose of him not being able to catch kicks or catch punts, even though he was able to do it in college, and he's just too much of a liability to have back there. Now, DeAndre Carter, on the other hand, was able to set our offense up multiple times with really good field position. He had a 66-yard return that got us down to the 35 that we couldn't capitalize on as an offense. And he should be the only one back there. Vilas needs to be somewhere stashed away in the backfield, and whenever they want to run all these little gadgets, sweeps, and all these little jets and everything else they want to do, he can come out and play. But past him being the first priority to get the ball in his hands on kickoffs and special teams, absolutely not. But I could see why they moved him to running back. And quite frankly, it's literally all coming to fruition as to why he should not be catching the ball, because he cannot hold on to it. He can't. He can run it. He's got really good vision. He can cut lanes. He can run through somebody. Like, some of the clips in preseason looked pretty promisable. But this is game time, man. There's no room for that shit. So I have no problem with him still being on the team. Obviously, the leash is very thin with most fans, and a lot of them specifically just because of what they've seen him do in the past. But I guess we'll see where they go with it. That's just personally how I feel. What about you?
Honestly, he definitely shouldn't be returning any kicks or punts. This is the fact of the matter is he fumbled multiple times last year. He fumbled one. I swear, in like week 1 or 2 of the preseason, he fumbled a kick that was exactly like that. He fumbled it in the same way, hit off his chest. Like, if the kick's hitting off your chest, like, I don't even return kicks, and I know the breadbasket it. Like, if the kick's hitting off your chest and bouncing 10 yards in front of you, there's an issue. And to be honest, him playing running back, that's great. I think he's a very athletic player, but we have 5 running backs. 3 of them double the player he is. He's a good player. He's athletic, but do we need him? Absolutely not. And especially if he's going to be a liability on the special teams, I'd say get rid of him.
It's just so hard to even like think about trusting him anymore, because every time you do, some shit like this happens. Like, I don't know how many drops on punt returns and kick returns he had last year, but if this is week 1, like, something's bound to fuck up again. And if it's in a really crucial game at this point in the season, we're going to look back at this and be like, why didn't we cut him after week 1? So they need to be cautious about how they're going to approach the situation, because he's an extreme liability, and I have faith in them to do the right thing. But he's very much a liability. So, but David, the one thing that I did want to talk about that it's kind of circulating Bears social media today is Rome Odunze. We saw him kind of get tweaked up on the sideline yesterday after a Tony Pollard run. No, it wasn't a Tony Pollard run. I'm sorry. He got brought out to the sideline. I forgot who ran the ball or what was going on in the play, but it was the right side of the screen. Remember, he was like kind of limping off the field. Really didn't look like anything serious. And then now today, Eberflus comes out in his press conference and says that Rome is actually getting an MRI today to determine if anything serious might have happened. Now, I kind of did a little research to see if anyone was able to tell anything on Twitter. So, you know how they have all like these fake doctors that like to try and diagnose. The most that I was able to come up with is some guy said the major concern is like a minor MCL sprain or anything like that. He says he thinks it's 3 to 4 weeks, but obviously we're not going to know until the MRI is concluded.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any type of concern about this? If so, do you think it's going to drastically affect their offense, or how do you guys?
That's what Schefter posted. He said MCL sprain week to week. So going off of that, I mean, dude, injuries happen. You know what I mean? We're in a league where Christian McCaffrey hasn't even played a game yet. He's about to miss tonight. You know what I mean? So do I think it's like the worst thing ever? Like, no, it definitely sucks, especially going into Houston. But at the end of the day, I mean, we have depth for this reason. I mean, this is why we signed Keenan. This is why we wanted to have kind of like a 3-headed dragon. So, I'm going in. We still got DJ. We still got Keenan. If we could get Cole Kmet a little bit more involved, or Gerald Everett in the passing game, obviously I want Rome out there every single game, but at least it's nothing like serious, and he'll be good to go eventually. So, Rome, get better. We need you.
Yeah, absolutely. Rome Odunze, a great player. The only thing I worry about is an injury like this, MCL, hamstring, etc. Definitely like knee injuries are lingering injuries. So I'm glad we have depth. I'm glad we have Keenan and DJ to back him up, and Tyler Scott, because we don't want to rush one of these back, have them re-aggravate it. That's exactly the Puka Nakua issue at hand. For people who don't know, Puka went out second quarter.
I should, but it's okay, Jacob. It's all right.
Puka went out second quarter, re-aggravated a bursa sac injury that he sustained during the preseason. Now is being placed on the IR, so he'll have a 4-week miss. So it's just knee injuries like that, you don't want to rush the player back. You want to make sure he's fully healthy, fully ready to go, especially such a young prospect like Rome.
Rams could have won that game last night if Puka was out there. You know what I mean?
They played great anyways. Also missing 4 offensive linemen. So
the Rams, I feel like, always just play competitive ball against anybody, dude. I feel like their games are always somewhat close. You know, Matt Stafford's always putting on a show, but I guess we'll touch a little bit more on that later. But for now, we're going to start at the top of the script and kind of go down, kind of just talk about some of the games that we saw, some of the things that we took away from the games, and just kind of, you know, just say what we saw essentially. Ravens Chiefs end up coming out on top 27-20. I swear, man, death, taxes, and Pat Mahomes beating the Ravens. Mm-hmm. It just seems like he puts the beating on them every year. Lamar actually had a lot of carries in this game, 16 carries of 122. And Mr. Likely, Scam Likely over here.
Yes, sir.
9 receptions, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. The leading receiver on Baltimore's end. Xavier Worthy came out, had 2 very nice touchdowns as well. One off the end around and one off a very long reception. And Pat Mahomes did Pat Mahomes things. 291 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. David, what you think about this game?
Man, overall, what a great way to start off the season, man. Here's all I got to say, bro. I had someone in my DMs, none of these gentlemen up here, but someone in my life message me after this game and go, Lamar is trash. He can't throw the ball, and Derrick Henry is washed. And I was literally like, do you understand, like, the game of football? Like, do you understand the NFL and like utilizing players? I thought Lamar Jackson had a great game, especially given the fact that he's never had like a lot of depth at the receiver position. You're looking at the stat line. He had 122 rushing yards, 273 yards through the air. Like, that's pretty impressive, and didn't throw an interception against the Chiefs. So overall, I think Lamar is playing very well. Derrick Henry, is he going to be the same running back he was on the Titans? No. I think that you saw with the addition of Justice Hill what they're kind of going for here. Derrick Henry is going to be that ground and pound, run the football, score touchdowns kind of running back. You saw a lot of Justice Hill being utilized in the receiving game. 6 receptions for 52 yards. 52, yeah. You know, so he's getting, Justice Hill, he's more of that shifty back. But Derrick Henry scored the first touchdown of the game, showing like, hey, King Henry's here behind that Ravens O-line. Overall, I think Baltimore is going to be successful. The Chiefs, they also had a pretty good game. Isaiah Pacheco, a little bit underwhelming. 15 carries for 45 yards, not as explosive as you usually see him. But overall, I really liked what I saw of the Ravens. I think they have a shot to take it deep in the AFC this year.
Then it's like, you know who they're going to see probably in the AFC Championship. It's probably going to be a same fucking rematch as this. I feel like it's just every year these teams play, and somehow Mahomes finds a way to squeak it out, and then we're always like, okay, Ravens are going to be great in the playoffs, and it's just repeated the same thing every year. But, I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, they did what they had to do to win the game. Like you said, not more so on the ground as much as in the air. I mean, Rashee Rice looks really nice, 7 receptions for 103. And Xavier Worthy, who's been hyped up all year, to maybe he's injury prone because he's too small, or if he gets hit once or twice, he's going to be out. I mean, look, he had 2 touchdowns on three plays, essentially. He had 1 catch for 21 yards, and then he had 2 catches for 47 yards and 1 rush for 21 with a touchdown on it. So he looks like he's going to be a definite factor in this offense. As it looks like Kelsey's kind of starting to decline here. He really didn't have too much production. 3 receptions, 34 yards. Now, obviously, for any average to below average tight end, that's good, but for the God's name, he's Travis Kelce, But at the same time, I think, what is he, 34, 35 now?
Yeah, he's
so he's definitely starting to wear down, but it looks like Mahomes has just as much targets now as he ever has, and who knows, with Marquise Brown coming back, they look like they can get pretty fucking nasty. But on the other end, I mean, Lamar looks like Lamar. He looks even better than Lamar. 16 carries, 122 yards, 26 completions for 273, 1 touchdown, no interception. He looked like he damn near put the team on his back. One person who was noticeably missing in this game that I want to talk to you guys about is Mark Andrews. It looked like he was pretty much playing left tackle, blocking the whole game, while your boy Isaiah Likely was going crazy. Lou, do you think we should be concerned about Andrews, or you think this is a fluke of a game?
I wouldn't worry about Andrews too much. I think sooner or later, probably sooner rather than later, he'll come back. He'll come back to life. He's definitely a consistent target for Lamar Jackson. Chemistry's there. Um, Listen, Kansas City's got some great linebackers. They shut them down all night.
I would agree.
The way they use Isaiah Likely is a lot different than the way they use Andrews. He's split out into the slot way more often. Just a lot more options to get the ball. I think he'll come back. Who I am worried about is Derrick Henry, and especially in fantasy purposes, I'd be very worried about Derrick Henry.
You talking about my RB1 like that?
Just the fact of the matter is, what did we learn from this game? We learned that Derrick Henry is not going to be the third down back. We learned that Derrick Henry is going to have no role in the passing offense.
That's crazy.
We learned that Justice Hill is a lot more than a backup than we thought. And he continued his role from last year into this year. And I'll give props to him. Justice Hill looked good out there. So Derrick Henry, he's a great player. I'm sure he'll find a way to bounce back, especially if they're up in games. They're going to run him like crazy. But watch out for Justice Hill.
I respect the criticism.
Okay.
I respect the criticism. I mean, he's got a good point. Henry really didn't do shit on third downs, and Justice Hill had however many receptions. But, that's kind of how Henry is as a player. Henry's just like a straight old school running back, not really going to get too many catches. In terms of fantasy perspective, I took him as my number one running back. He had 10 points. Obviously, looked for a way better performance than that, but I guess we'll see as the weeks go on. David, how do you feel about that statement that Jacob just made about Derrick Henry?
I'm not worried about Henry at all, man. I think Henry's going to be unlocked. I mean, you have to remember he's going up against Chris Jones and the Kansas City Chiefs defense. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's a weak interior he's going up against in this game. And yeah, I definitely agree. Justice Hill, like I said, looks really good. He's going to take some attention away, but the Ravens are notorious for cycling through running backs, especially guys like Hill, like Keaton Mitchell, all those guys. So at the end of the day, I think Henry's still going to be their bread and butter throughout the season.
Okay. So that game was last Thursday. And then on Friday from Sao Paulo, Brazil, we had the Eagles taking on the Packers.
Ooh.
Lots of really good football played in this game. Two of the biggest storylines. We'll start first. Saquon going off for 3 touchdowns, 109 yards on the ground, and catching 2 passes for 23 and a touchdown through the air as well. Well, Jordan Love ended up hurting himself pretty badly at the end of that game as well. A lot of people thought it was going to be an ACL tear, MCL tear. I think it was, I forgot how long did they say he was going to be out for, 4 to 5 weeks?
4 to 6.
4 to 6?
4 to 6 at least.
I think it was like an MCL sprain is what
Yeah.
they were talking about. So that is a really big turning point, I feel like, for the Packers and for a lot of the teams in the NFC. Thankfully, he's not out for the whole year for them. I mean, me being a Bears fan, it gives us an opportunity, essentially, to try and make a push if we actually see improvement in our team. So, I guess, what do you guys, I guess from a Bears fan perspective, do you think this is going to make a big difference in terms of the NFC standings? If so, who do you think might be a team that's going to work their way up there besides the Bears? I don't know, Lou, I guess if you want to start.
Yeah, this is going to make a huge impact in the NFC North, 100%. You're missing your top quarterback for upwards of 4 to 6 weeks, and Malik Willis, as great as an athlete as he is, I don't think he has the talent that Jordan Love had. I don't think he has the experience Jordan Love had. It's just it's not looking very good for the Packers. Who do I see coming up? I want to give a shout out to the Vikings, who looked fantastic, but I think it ultimately will be the Lions and the Bears fighting for that number 1 spot in the NFC North. What about you, David?
Their next games: Colts, Titans, Vikings, Rams, Cardinals, Texans. That's through the next 7 weeks. And you got to think, bro, like there are some of those games where, yeah, like if they had Jordan Love, like I'd say they get the dub. But without Jordan, relying on Malik Willis, I mean, they can easily go on a little bit of a losing streak here. You know what I mean? They have explosive players like Jaden Reed, but if you don't have the right guy getting the ball in their hands, I don't see this ending up well for them. So I think it definitely opens up the opportunity for us as Bears fans to kind of like have a little bit easier path to the NFC North. But it's going to be interesting to see, obviously when we play them, I want them to be at 100% because, you always take pride in beating a team when they're at their best. So I hope he gets better, but I think it's definitely a positive thing for the Bears.
It's positive for the whole NFC because Jordan Love, up until that point, I mean, he wasn't having the greatest game. I mean, 17 to 34, 1 interception, 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, but if he was still in, I feel like they definitely had a chance to win that, even though it did come down to like the last 2 plays. It's really going to shake up the NFC in terms of the powerhouses because right now, really, all we're looking at is just Philadelphia and, in my opinion, San Fran is the 2 powerhouse teams that are no question, no brainers for the playoffs. Other than that, it's really a big mix up. But what Lou was saying about the Vikings too, but really impressed by Sam Darnold and what they were able to do. I think they have more potential coming in now than most people thought, just because of his ability to feed Jefferson the ball when needed, and Aaron Jones being another solidified running back that we forget to talk about every year. They're going to look pretty nice as well. But in terms of this injury to the Packers, definitely a big blow for them. Really curious to see how the NFC is going to shape out.
I mean, especially after seeing how that Eagles offense was looking, I think everyone in the NFC is kind of worried about having to play those guys. Yeah. I mean, say what you will about the defense, but seeing Saquon absolutely get unlocked in that game was insane. And then A.J. Brown also, I mean, 5 catches for 119 yards and a touchdown, 67 yard touchdown catch. I mean, that Eagles offense is absolutely clicking in every aspect of the game. And that Giants GM is rolling around in his office after watching that one.
I was going to say, like, I still can't believe that they, like, let him walk for whatever they were trying to match his contract at and really just didn't throw the house at this guy because he can clearly do everything. And on a team with a lot of weapons, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Goddard, he was the one outshining all of them. I mean, even A.J. Brown, like you said, had, 4 catches for 137-plus yards, but he was just outshadowed because of just Barkley's 3 touchdowns. It's ridiculous. That whole offense is going to be ridiculous if they could stay healthy too. But one offense that isn't looking too great that I have to now honor my bet to, Pittsburgh Steelers and now starting quarterback Justin Fields.
Steak dinner.
So I mentioned week 1, we talked about how me and him had a bet going where Fields was not going to start a game by week 8. And of course I fucking lose it the first week. So I guess I gotta book a nice little reservation to Kamagoucha for us one day to go out and eat. But not too much going on in this game, really. Similar to the Bears, the Steelers didn't have any offensive touchdowns. I know their kicker went pretty crazy. Najee Harris, 20 rushes, 70 yards. Pickens, 6 receptions, 85 yards. Fields had 156 through the air with 14 carries for 57 on the ground. Looks very much like a Justin Fields game. On the other end, Kirk Bangs, 16 to 26, 155, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 3 lost
flags. Flag on the play.
What you gotta say?
Here's all I gotta say, man. To all the people out there who were hyping up Kirko chains, who were saying, oh man, Kirk Cousins, he deserves that contract. Oh man, he deserves all this money and he's going to do great on the Falcons and that amazing offense and all these amazing weapons that they acquired. You should be ashamed of yourself if you're one of those people. I got news for you. Jacob, you were talking earlier about rookie quarterbacks earlier. Guess what? The rookie quarterback that is going to be the most beneficial after week 1 is Michael Penix. Okay, because you're going to be seeing him enter the lineup a lot sooner than people thought. All right. After watching that game, that was atrocious, dude. A 29.2 QBR, 155 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions from Kirk. Come on, bro. They couldn't even get Bijan in the end zone against the Steelers. This is ridiculous. Kirk Cousins, he's washed. I've been saying this. I knew that he was aging, especially coming off that Achilles injury. He's not the same quarterback he used to be. This isn't even me trying to hype up Justin. Like, just Kirk Cousins in general is not at all the player he once was, and the Falcons are going to regret giving him that kind of money.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, Kirk Cousins looking very bad. Definitely not the guy we saw in Minnesota. Couldn't get really anything going, but you could speak for both teams. This game was a crapshoot, to be honest with you. No one really got anything going. It was a battle of the field goals, and Pittsburgh comes up with a couple defensive plays at the end of the game to seal it, and that's all she wrote. You really were I was hoping for a lot more from Atlanta, and they come out. Defense looked pretty good, but offense definitely needs some improvement. It definitely does bring up the question, when is Penix going to play, and if he's going to play over Cousins.
Do you guys think Penix starts the game before this year's over?
100%.
100%.
Really?
I'm saying by week 10.
I'm saying it's due to injury, though, because
Interesting.
I was watching part of the game. Cousins was getting destroyed out there. The offensive line for Atlanta is terrible. He's not the most durable guy.
People were hyping that team up so heavy too, talking about they had a chance to be like Super Bowl contenders and how they were just going to destroy everyone in the NFC South. And now it's just a matter of Kirk is, one, going to stay healthy, like you said, and two, he's going to have Penix on his fucking tail if they really don't start doing some shit soon. I mean, in his defense, Pittsburgh does have a really good defense, but you can't fumble the ball 3 times, let alone throw 2 interceptions in the same game. Justin, on the other hand, hey, man, shouts out to him. He got his opportunity, made the most of it, won the game. Similar to Caleb, didn't play the best game, but like at the end of the day, a win is a win, and we'll really see what goes on with that Steelers quarterback room once Russell's back and healthy. I think it's really Justin's job to lose now at this point, and we'll see if he's able to improve as the years goes by, and he's able to lock down that spot over Russell. Now, another team with a huge disappointment that I kind of specifically want to talk about was the Bengals and Pats game.
Oh my God.
Bengals absolutely crap in the bed at home against a Patriots team that looks like a bottom 2, bottom 3 feeder in this league. They lose 16-10 on the back of Jacoby Brissett's 15-24, 121. No touchdowns, no interceptions. But the real talk is Ramondre Stevenson, 25 carries, 120 on the ground, 4.8 average with 1 touchdown. Joey Buckets, Joe Burr on the other end, 21-29, 164, average of 5.7, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Leading receiver is Jamar Chase with 6 receptions, 62 yards. And T. Higgins was ruled out, I believe, like 2 hours before game time. Bagels team looks like it's kind of in shambles. They definitely don't look like they have a solidified running back 1, with Zach Moss having 9 carries, Chase Brown having 3, so I don't really think you could determine anything on that end yet, which, I mean, going from Joe Mixon to Zach Moss and Chase Brown combination backfield definitely isn't ideal. So they could have really real issues there. And then the real conversation is Jamar Chase and what's going to be going on with him. He played limited downs, mainly focused on third down and goal line and red zone type situations. He looked good for being Jamar Chase, but at the end of the day, Jamar Chase still needs some more reps too because he hasn't played all summer. It could be a whirlwind of a season for the Bengals if Chase isn't able to figure out his contract situation and T continues to get hurt. We'll see what ends up coming down with them, but they're not looking too promising right now. I mean, how do you guys feel about this flustered Bengals team?
For me overall, I said it from the jump. I think there's going to be a lot of shifts in the power scale on some of these AFC teams, and the Bengals are one of them, dude. I mean, you clearly have two receivers who are not happy with their current situation. You got T. Higgins, who isn't getting a contract, period, but still on this team. And then you have Jamar Chase, arguably one of the top 3 receivers in the league, who's still fighting to get his contract done while he's watching everyone else get paid. Joe Burrow, I mean, he can't be too happy about this either. He wants his guys out there. He wants to, start winning some games. And then this also just goes to show, losing a guy like Joe Mixon, who literally had over 120 yards rushing the ball over the weekend, it definitely starts to show, some reasoning behind how losing that star running back can really make a difference in your offense. But, dude, Ramondre Stevenson, man, got to give it to him. He said this offseason he wants to be a 3-down back. He wants to be the one carrying the workload, and he definitely showed that, man. So shout out to Ramondre Stevenson fantasy owners. I'm sure they're happy seeing that he's going to be the guy moving forward. I don't think this is a foretelling that the New England Patriots are going to be this great team and start winning all these games. But it shows hey, man, they paid the right guy, and moving forward, it's just going to be the building block to something better down the road. So congrats to the Patriots, man. They deserve it.
Yeah, Patriots defense really looked good out there. Definitely flustering Joe Burrow a lot. It doesn't help when you're missing one receiver, and then one receiver says he's only playing on third downs and red zones. I've never heard that before in my life.
Crazy.
Jamar Chase before the game. He's not going to be a liability, so he's going to only play third downs. Insane. Pretty boring game as well, in all honesty. But the fact of the matter is, coming into the game, what I wanted to talk about is Zach Moss versus Chase Brown. A lot of people thought this was going to be an even backfield, and you really saw a lot more of Zach Moss than you did Chase Brown, which was very surprising to me, given the success Chase Brown had, the limited amount of success he had last year. So,
well, yeah. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with the Jamar Chase contract situation because he has 2 years left on his rookie deal. At the end of the day, if you're the general manager of the Bengals, I honestly don't know his name off the top of my head, you might as well just make him the richest paid receiver in the NFL right now rather than wait a year and have the market be reset by someone else and it become more expensive. Just get it over with. Get your superstar back on the field. Get him that connection with Joe Burrow, that LSU connection that they've shared for so long that, has absolutely blown up since their first few years in the league together. Clearly better. It's clear that Joe likes to play with him, likes to target him often, and is comfortable when he's there. So you need to get him there. You need to get him back, get him healthy, get him signed. And T. Higgins needs to get back out there as well because those are the two-headed monsters of the offense, considering they don't really have a solid running back to go to. But lots of question marks on that team, too. There's lots of question marks over a lot of these teams. Like we mentioned, Joe Mixon and the Houston Texans went and took on the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis. Sorry. C.J. Stroud leaving off right where he ended last season. 24 completions on 32 yards for 204 and 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon, workhorse numbers: 30 carries, 159 yards, 1 touchdown. Nico Collins, six receptions. Diggs, 6 receptions. Schultz, 3 receptions. I don't really need to go through all those stats because they all cooked. Anthony Richardson, on the other hand, looked pretty nice too. 9 completions for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. I believe 2 of those one of them was a 65-yard bomb. The other was a 40-something yard bomb. So those kind of outliers in that statistics. But the one play that he had off his back foot, like 65 yards, just absolute rainbow over the middle of the field to Alec Pierce for a 65-yard bomb.
Cincinnati. Shout out Jacob System.
It looked good. Honestly, the Colts came out and played a really tough game. Pierce had 3 receptions, 125 yards, 1 touchdown. Ashton Doolin, 1 reception, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. So it's clear they like to throw the ball, and it's clear Richardson has the cannon to do so. Jonathan Taylor had 16 carries for 48 yards, 1 touchdown, 3-yard average per carry, which doesn't look too hot. But I think Richardson, coming off his injury last year, not many people kind of expected him to go out there and, I'm not going to say put up the numbers that he did because he only had 199 yards, but some of those plays were like really wow plays, you know, like just the throws alone. Do you guys think Anthony Richardson has the potential to be a top 10 to top 15 quarterback this year, or do we think this game is just an outlier?
I think personally, Anthony Richardson, what he kind of showed in this game, what separates him from Jaden Daniels. He has that ability to kind of, run with the ball, obviously 6 carries, 56 yards, but he has that ability to throw the ball, and he has some decent receivers to do it. Alec Pierce, this is a guy, coming out of Cincinnati. They were kind of hoping they could turn into a really good wide receiver too. He showed that in this game, like, hey, if Michael Pittman isn't open, you can get the ball out to me. The one hole where I kind of see in this offense, I think a lot of people were hyping up the RPO with Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor kind of showed he isn't really a great receiving back. He's more of that, that running style running. Oh, my fucking God.
I don't know how you can show you're not a great receiving back when you don't get a single target. There was not one screenplay. There was not one design pass to Jonathan Taylor. He's right. This man is a monster in the pass game. And honestly, I'm sad that I didn't get to see that this weekend, given that Jonathan Taylor's on my fantasy football team. This guy is a tank. I get it that the game script didn't go your way. You were down most of the game. Really had to compete against the high-level Texans offense, but saying that Jonathan Taylor's not a good receiver, it's just, he didn't get a target.
Maybe he didn't get targeted because they were like, oh, like at practice, like he's not good. Like,
no, because he's in blocking against the elite pass rushers of the Texans. He's got He's got Chip Will Anderson, the defensive rookie of the year.
Okay, I'll keep that noted. At the end of the day, I'm going to stick on what I'm saying. I don't think Jonathan Taylor's going to be great receiving back this year. I think they want to keep him healthy, so they're trying to eliminate him a little bit from that. So,
It's crazy.
sorry.
This needs to be clipped because
This
is one of the ones. Yeah, this is one of the ones we need to.
It'll be clipped. There'll be a clip.
All right, good.
Clip it.
Good. But what else
By the way, Brees Hall, first touchdown. Should have listened to Lou on that one. Jacob and I both did not listen to him. Went George Kittle.
I went George Kittle too.
You went George Kittle.
Oh my God!
Literally, because I rode with. I don't want to be fading you guys, so great.
No, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Hey, we still got some other, potential other things that can happen in the game. So, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like they said, hindsight is always 50-50 in gambling, folks. So there's going to be a lot of
Don't hold it against me.
2020. Hindsight's 2020.
20-20, 50-50, 30-30, whatever the fuck. Okay, we should have listened to Lou. All right, and now I don't have enough money to buy myself dinner tonight, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do now. But
let's talk about Sunday Night Football then. Let's talk about Sunday Night Football last night, and then we can move on into our fantasy football sports betting section for the evening. So, man, it's something that we all love. We've all been wanting to get back to. That smell of Jewel chicken wings on a Sunday night. Sunday Night Football last night. What a great matchup. Detroit Lions versus the Los Angeles Rams. Two quarterbacks going against each other. Their former teams, nonetheless. Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, who both played phenomenal games. I mean, Matthew Stafford, 317 yards through the air, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Puka Nacua obviously missing from the game, but Cooper Kupp is back, baby. He was coming out there, 14 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. He was just watching him play last night. Like, it made me happy to see him out there doing what he does best. He's been battling injuries for the past couple years, and to see him kind of come back to life, in true Cooper Kupp fashion was awesome to see. Another receiver that was absolutely coming to life was on the Lions, Jamison Williams, a former first-round pick out of Alabama. First, he was coming off a knee injury, had to recover from that. Then he faced a 6-game suspension last season. So they've been kind of waiting to unlock him, trying to get him, to that point where he's really ready to go. And I feel like this was his coming out game, man. Jamison Williams is ready to play. He's ready to be a part of this offense. And then the Lions just did what they do best and ran the ball with David Montgomery right up the gut for 91 yards and a touchdown to end the game. It was just a real entertaining game. Great Sunday Night Football game. Kyron Williams also had a pretty decent game, 18 carries, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Overall, man, I walk away from this knowing that, like, the Rams are always going to be a threat, especially with Matthew Stafford at quarterback. But it's really going to come down to if they can get Puka back in there in a timely fashion so they can compete in their division. So awesome game. I have no complaints.
Yeah, it was a great game, and it was great to see the Rams be so competitive with missing so many players to start the season. Puka goes down. You also have, I was told, 4 linemen missing from the offensive line, and Matthew Stafford's getting banged up all game. He's older now. He also was dealing with a couple ailments, but they still hung in there tough. Like you said, Cooper Kupp literally looking like an absolute monster out there. Yeah. Getting back to his shifty ways, and it really goes back to what he said in the offseason. He's feeling the healthiest he's ever been, and Sean McVay also emphasized that Cooper Kupp's healthy this year, so I'm very excited to see what he can do, like going back to that 2021 season when he was an absolute monster and led them to the Super Bowl. But yeah, Puka, that's a huge loss for at least 4 weeks, and bursa sac injury is no joke. Got to find a way to stay healthy.
Actually, let me throw my last one.
We got a flag thrown on the
last
play.
one. This one's for Jacob. Jacob sat here in this house, in this living room, and made fun of me for letting, I think it was Lou, pick up Puka Nacua in the Famba Jamba League.
Oh, yeah, I got
Puka. Yeah. Well, I'm happy Lou ended up having to take him because it's exactly what I said. Puka Nacua coming off a knee injury. And like Lou said earlier in the episode, knee injuries linger. They linger throughout the season. Didn't even make it through a full first game, and he's already out. So Puka Nacua fantasy managers,
who'd you take instead of Puka?
Puka Nacua fantasy managers, just remember, I tried to warn you. but at the end of the day, I'm kind of the one singled out here, as you can tell. Jacob and Lou, they have the same first name. They live together. They like to single me out. They like to say, "Oh, you get Jimmy John's all the time. What are you doing?" Like, I'm done. So,
who did you? Okay, so now I guess we're just gonna kind of shift this into our fantasy talk since we're already kind of conjoining the two.
Sure.
Why don't you tell the people who you took instead of Puka Nacua?
Who I took instead of Puka?
Yeah.
I'd have to look, honestly.
It was Chris Olave.
Chris Olave.
Chris Olave?
Chris
He's going to come
Olave
back.
had 2 receptions for 11 yards and 3 points yesterday.
Guess what? He's going to be available next week.
So
Derek Carr had a phenomenal game. Also, we didn't talk about that game because, it's the Panthers and Saints, like not much to talk about. But the Saints had a good game. Derek Carr, he seems to be looking good from what I saw last night. Yeah, it was against the Panthers, but he played pretty well. So, you know what? I'm confident with Olave.
But how do you see the Saints? They scored 47 points, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
man.
Rashid Shaheed looked like that guy.
J.C. Horn was clearly covering
Okay, that's fair. That's
our
fair.
guy Olave the whole game. It happens. People put up goose eggs. Marvin Harrison put up 4 yards last night. Are you saying Marvin Harrison's a wash for the rest of the season?
No,
Wake
absolutely
up.
not.
You guys need to wake up, man. I'm tired of putting the team on my back over here. You need to start. Let's have some good takes.
What are you
Come on.
referring
Your
to?
takes, you just said Jonathan Taylor wasn't the receiving back.
Bro,
There's a lot of questionable Skip Bayless opinions that are coming out of your pile.
Skip Bayless.
Yeah, Skip Bayless-esque.
You're Antonio Brown, bro. Get out of here.
I'm not CTS.
You're AB, bro.
Don't you ever.
But fantasy, you know what I mean? Obviously, we had our big money fantasy league. We call it the league. We also call it Fourth and Drunk to Go.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? These two are the commissioners for that league. How many titles do you have, Lou?
2.
Jacob, you also have 2 as well?
2.
So that's why, between these two, there has been some talks of, if one of them wins this year, the commissioner spot's only going to go to them, mainly on Lou's end. But Jacob, let's start with you real quick. So going into this fantasy league after week 1, pretty sure you lost your game. But how are you feeling after week 1, and how are you feeling about your team? Who do you think is going to be a bright
Throw my
spot?
flag because I didn't lose my game. I'm actually very much in my game.
Actually
right
still
now.
in it.
The score would be a 137.
32%.
137 to 96
He's
right
a
now.
32%er. He's not out of it.
Debo Samuel and Tyler Conklin going. Look, I'm a 32%er, but I've seen some crazy things happen. So in terms of how I feel about my overall team in general, obviously big worry about Henry. Only 10.6. Really not going to do it for me on the receiving end either, as Justice Hill and likely look like the top 2 targets on third down on that team. Really proud of Aaron Jones, though. I have Aaron Jones I'm in 5 leagues, which I very much regret doing. But in 4 out of the 5 leagues, I have Aaron Jones. So I really wanted to lock down one player that'll be on all my teams, and he had 18.9. So he's looking pretty good. And my saviors, man, were the Bears defense.
Dude.
Dropping a 26 piece, and Kai Fairbairn dropping a nice little 17 spot. 43 points combined from my kicker and special teams, but I know that's not going to be doable for the foreseeable future. But
All Fairbairn owners, congratulations. He went off.
Boswell went pretty crazy too. I don't have his name up here, but I know he did just as good. But Lou, I noticed how you were gassing up Cooper Kupp in a very happy light when we were just talking about him here. Is there a reason why that you were talking about his
Yes, sir. I'm a happy fantasy Cooper Cup owner. My little Coopy Cup, Matthew Berry prodigy. Listen, I'm going to tell you about my team right now. There are some question marks. I'm very happy with how Jameer played, given his role. I'm very happy with Cooper Kupp, and I'm very happy with the Cowboys defense, especially with that punt return giving me 6 points. Now, right now, if anyone's watching, this is a call to action to Evan Ingram. 1 reception? What are you doing out there, bro? Are you picking daisies? 1 reception. Listen, you're about to get replaced by Likely. It's okay. Tank Dell. Bro, I thought you and CJ Stroud were chilling, bro. 3 receptions? That's it? Oh, my Lord. Jonathan Taylor. It's tough defense. I'll give it to you. But, bro, you're on the 2-yard line. Punch that shit in.
You also got to tell them who's sitting on your bench right now as well. What you got to figure out. And the reason why you might be yelling at Evan Ingram is because
Scam Likely's about to come out. Isaiah Likely, he looks like that number one threat for the Baltimore Ravens, and I think he's coming into the lineup. And Evan Ingram, he might be hitting the old block.
Well, I mean, like I said,
the block. And also, Lou, what's your fantasy team name?
Scam Likely.
Jacob, what's your fantasy team name?
Purdy's nuts.
Okay. And then me over here, shout out to my squad, Kittlecorn. Kittlecorn over here, baby.
The PGS name, dude.
Let me talk about my team here real quick. Coming out of this, I mean, I only have 3% to win. Very close game between me and JT. Still could happen. I mean, I got George Kittle in right now. He's got Garrett Wilson, who's actually doing pretty well. So that's kind of unfortunate. At the end of the day, happy with how my team came out. Kyler Murray going up against a tough Bills team. There's definitely room for him to grow in there. Kenneth Walker, he had a pretty good game, 18.9 points. Tyreek Hill, 26. Shout out to my boy Tyreek. Possibly facing an injury with Kenneth Walker, but it's okay because that's why I picked up Zach Charbonnet as an insurance policy as well. I never saw that strategy used in our league where someone took the starting and the backup running back. For all you guys out there, it's a valid strategy out there. I recommend you do it.
I think a lot of people did that.
That would be called a handcuff, ladies and gentlemen.
A handcuff is quarterback with a with like a receiving option. I thought.
No. I mean, it could be used.
I gotta throw another
flag.
We're
gonna let you go ahead and break this down.
Listen, man, a handcuff is when you take the number one the number one rushing option and take his backup in case of injury. You have the number one running option going forward.
Well, hey, this is for people to learn.
Yeah,
as well as the host. The host can learn as well.
For throwing the flag.
You know what I mean? It's okay. You can no. You want to throw it?
It
really shows how you feel about everything, and you know what I mean. I'm
just a little salty about the.
I'm not hurt about it.
You know, like
I'm not hurt about it at all.
What are you gonna do with your tight end situation then? Are you gonna give Evan Ingram one more week? Or are you gonna switch over and go Likely?
Well, I'm in talks with a lot of people right now. So those people in talks, you know who you are, and you may be in this room or you may be watching from home, but we're still in talks. Believe that, and the piece you want is still available for the right price.
Listeners, I want everyone in this room, including Josh, who's watching all of our filming, editing, all that good stuff. This fantasy league is not like other ones. Okay, no. It's I would say like demonic, crazy. Well, and let me put it this way: in the championship game last year, between two of our players, I won't name them right now. Between two of our players, one of them, who ended up losing, had sent a text message to the other saying, "If you sacrifice this game, I'll give you half the money." He literally said that to him. And
to be fair, the commissioners did reprimand the situation, so let's not take this out on the league and or the faithful commissioners.
I just want to disclose that me or Jacob do not encourage any type of cheating, any type of bribes, whatever that they try to do. They got warned very strictly, and they know that if it happens again, and we know who you are. We're talking to you right now. If it happens again, you're donezo, because truth of the matter is it's a $250 buy-in, and it's some good money for the winner. So me and Lou are always on top of our shit when it comes to that, and we will not allow that in our league. Okay, end disclaimer.
So that's our fantasy football outlook for this upcoming week. Got some good players coming in, and interesting to see how week 2 goes. Now let's hop into our best bets category. For Thursday night football, we have an interesting matchup. We have the Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. For me personally, what I'm liking in this game is I'm going to go with the over. I think the over for this game is looking real nice. You're looking at two defenses who are kind of like broken down a little bit. I'd say the Dolphins have a little bit better of a secondary, obviously with Jalen Ramsey out there. You saw a very high scoring game between the Bills and the Cardinals. And that was with Marvin Harrison only having 1 catch for 4 receptions. You know what I mean? So if Greg Dortch and Michael Wilson are out there, lighting up the Bills, I'm pretty sure Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle aren't really going to have too much of an issue with that. So for me, I enjoyed the over for this game. That's going to be my pick for Thursday Night Football.
So boys, let's not overthink this. I had a 4-leg parlay going on Sunday, as we all know, 10 to win 500.
Oh.
And that bogus ass motherfucker, Josh Allen, killed my dreams multiple times. So we're not overthinking it. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. It's that easy. They will not give the ball to James Cook. They will not give it to him inside the 5. I don't know why. They just won't. First it was Latavius. Now it's just straight up Josh Allen keeps it every time.
Just run it in there.
So I'm going Josh Allen anytime. I think he'll be able to take advantage of some injuries on the defensive side of Miami. Miami did not look that sharp on offense against Jacksonville. Not at all. They were down 17-0, I'm pretty sure.
Came back.
Bills are a way better coach team, more fundamentally sound. I don't think they'll give the same opportunities that the Jacksonville gave to Miami to come back. I take the Bills money line, parlay it with a little Josh Allen anytime. You get yourself a couple dollars on Lou.
Okay, that's.
See, I was riding with you there with the Josh Allen anytime touchdown, but I'm going Dolphins money line. I think the game between the Bills and Cardinals told me a lot in the sense that the Bills defense is still hurting from losing a lot of their secondary. The Dolphins and Jags game, yeah, questionable on a lot of ends. You won on a 51-yard field goal. I feel like the Dolphins passing game is just going to be too strong for the Bills secondary. And I think they're going to, the spread's 1.5, so it's really just a pick'em game. But I like Miami in this game at minus 127. That's what I get on Rivers. I'm sure you can get better odds on any of the sports books that you look at because Rivers is questionable sometimes. But I like the Dolphins minus 127. I love the over, like Dave was mentioning as well. Even without not too many number one targets, Kincaid really didn't do too well last game, but Josh Allen somehow always finds a way to put his team on his back and score multiple touchdowns a game. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. But unlike Lou, I like the Dolphins money
We'll
line.
have to play some
And if I
friendly
had to
wager.
pick someone to score here, I think Achane gets in the end zone again. Showed lots of promise with actually being the RB1. I know there were a lot of questions where if Mostert was going to come in and split carries, which he did get a few, but I think Achane is that goal line back, and I think their passing game is going to work Buffalo.
I like that. So overall, right here, if you want to do a little parlay with that, you got David's pick over 48.5 for Bills Dolphins. We got Big Lou over here, Josh Allen anytime touchdown, and we have Jacob with Dolphins money line. Put that together, 3-leg parlay, win yourself some coin on the Chiesty Boys. Now, on our Instagram, on our TikTok, we're going to have some picks coming up once the lines open up later on the week, but we are going to give you a little Chiesty Boys parlay here. Each of us is going to pick a money line or a spread for this weekend's games and put those three together. Get something cooking for yourself. For me personally, the one that I'm going to go with, I'm going to ride with Tampa Bay +7. They're going to be playing the Detroit Lions. That Tampa Bay offense really surprised me last week. You saw not only Mike Evans do Mike Evans things, getting 2 touchdowns, absolutely being a beast in the receiving game. You also saw kind of a massive game out of Chris Godwin. Pretty sure he had a touchdown, 85 yards around there. Sitting on my bench in fantasy, I'm a little upset about that. But I really liked what I saw out of the Bucs. I think their offense is just as good, if not better, than they were last year. So I think it's going to be a close game between the Lions and the Bucs. So I'm going to go ahead, Buccaneers +7.
Very nice.
What's
Very
plus
nice.
7? What do you like?
+7.
I'm liking. Listen, it's a big spread, but I'm liking the Ravens -9.5.
I was gonna say I like that one too.
Listen, the Raiders look like garbage. I love Antonio Pierce. I love the mantra he's trying to bring to this team. It's not working. Garner Minshew is very underwhelming. The defense was getting picked apart by Herbert, who literally has no receiving options. I mean, I literally saw Quinn Johnson like going off. It's insane. So yeah, give me the Ravens to bounce back in a huge bounce back game, and I feel they'll put up 9.5. So very, very generous. I feel like they'll beat them by 14.
I like that one.
So there's a few that I'm looking at here. One that kind of stands out to me that I can't get boosted points on right now is Cincinnati +6. If I were to take this pick, which I kind of like, I would take it at +7.5. I think it's like -145. I think they have their backs against the wall after an embarrassing loss to New England last week. They're going to be at home again. the chance to redeem themselves. I think Jamar and Joe, as much as Jamar's situation is screwing up a lot of the chemistry that they have going, I know he hates to lose, and I know Joe hates to lose. You're going to get T. Higgins back. I think they figure some things out, and I'm not going to say that they're going to beat the Chiefs, but I think they'll be able to cover the spread. So if I had a pick right now, it's the Chiefs or it's the Bengals +6. But as the weeks go on, you'll get alternate lines, and I think you should take that all the way up to 7.5, maybe 8, if you're getting a good value for it.
They are away though.
They are. Correction. They are away. I mean, I still think at the end of the day, he's going to come in there and they have their backs against the wall, and I think they're gonna light it up. I don't think they're going to necessarily win the game. I think 7.5 is a comfortable number that I would feel good taking after the type of game that they just had against New England. And if they repeat that again and get blown out by like 14, 21 points, then you will not see me betting on the Bengals the rest of the year.
So. I mean, they did go in there when it mattered most in the AFC Championship game, beat them on their own turf. So, I like that option. So you're going to lock that one in, Jacob?
Yeah. You know what? I'll ride that out. I'll stay with that one.
All right. So we got my pick over here. We're going to be doing Tampa Bay +7. We got Lou over here with his selection, Baltimore Ravens -9.5.
Yes, sir.
And then Jacob, right now, the line is at +5.5, but maybe tease that a little bit, go +7.5. So
that's what I would say. Yes, correct.
Exciting stuff here, man. What a great week. This has been, man, a great first week of football. Great being back in the studio. Just want to remind everyone out there, like and subscribe when you watch us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Check out our videos. A lot of good stuff coming on there. Besides that, on my end, bear down. Jacob, you got anything for the people?
I got nothing else to say. Really excited for this next upcoming week of football. We have our man David. We gotta mention that you will be making your way down to Houston, Texas, to see the Bears take on the Houston Texans at 7:20 this upcoming Sunday. You pumped? You fucking hyped?
Dude, ready for it, man. First away Bears game. Never been to an away game, so definitely excited, man. I told Sam, my fiance, when I got my promotion, I said no matter what, I got to go to an away game. And once the Houston game got announced, I was like, I got to be there to experience it. So I'm excited to see the city of Houston. I've never been to Houston. Excited to see the Energy Stadium and all the fans. And all the Bears fans that are going to be traveling for it. So it'll be exciting for sure.
So, yeah, super excited for him. He's definitely going to go down. Hopefully get us some good footage, get us some good coverage, get us some good content, especially. Yes, Lou, anything else you got to tell the people, say to the people?
It's like you guys said, a great week of football. Excited to go back, get another weekend this weekend. And, I want to give a shout out to Tariq Stevenson, honestly. That guy really shut me up. I was talking about it, is him being undersized, There were a couple plays last year he didn't make effectively. Really shut me up with that pick 6. So Tariq Stevenson, congrats, man.
Congrats, Tyreek.
Congrats, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Chiesty Boys, out.